Hey, good morning. And in this video we're going to talk about something very cool in spiral dynamics. One of the most underrated stages is stage beige. Stage beige refers to basic survival instincts, and we all have these. So when in human history did we have our basic survival instincts? Now, this is going to be tough to describe, but also pretty simple. Think of it like this. If you don't have enough people in a certain group to bounce off ideas, to explore mythology, to make sure that you have enough food every single day, or some kind of organized system, you're going to be in stage beige. So anytime you see your friends, they're going to be making weapons. They're going to be making sure that they're on defense, that they can pull a good offense, that they have a backup plan in case a predator attacks or another group of human beings attack. So it's very defensive and offensive. It's very prepared, or at least trying to prepare. But most importantly, it assumes everyone's an enemy. And so beige, I think, would be described as non-trusting phase. And that's why when you look at animals, they're operating very often with a lot of beige activated, because it's the human drive, the human instinct to survive. And that's why they run away when they hear something. They don't understand something, and they're not interested in understanding it, and they don't have the capacity to understand it. So to a human being who's in stage beige, he doesn't yet have the capacity to focus on whether or not something is a threat or not. That has to be learned. So the old cavemen that would be a good portrayal of stage beige, because what happens, you don't have shelter, so you find a little hut underneath something, and you find a cave. So that's actually very realistic. There's a movie that I really liked called Time Trap. Very unpredictable movie. You don't know what the plot's going to be, and it goes in many different directions. It's both scary, exciting, youthful, and calm. There's like a little bit of everything in the movie, but it's also thrilling. And at some point you see cavemen, and they're trapped in this cave, and they could get out, but they can't get out for a different reason. But every time someone falls into the cave, they attack them, because they're food. Anyone who falls into the cave is food. So they kill them. But you see here, they don't focus on their dress. They don't focus on anything. And why not? Why don't they focus on their dress? Is it because they don't care what people think? No, that's not even the priority. Everyone in the tribe everyone in the group might have some inkling of, like, you should look a certain way to appear like you're strong. So in fact, it could be messy hair. But what tends to happen is that messy will catch on as the ideal for a stage beige, simply because that's how they are. They're so not focused on the dress that they'll just put anything they find into a dress up. In stage purple, what do you find? You find in Hawaii, it's very common stage purple in Hawaii for thousands of years, because they had no neighbors and all that, and it was so peaceful and good weather, maybe, that, I mean, fact check this, but what you find is that even though they're calm, what I'm focusing on is the dress. They looked nice. They looked presentable. They had the hula dancing things. In those days, that would be considered presentable. Try doing that now; it won't really work out. But what you see here is you see a symmetrical dress. They were careful to make it look symmetrical. But symmetry doesn't matter in stage beige, because the mind is not focusing on patterns. It's like when a lion is chasing you, you don't care about running into the mud. So the ideology becomes much less on caring about how you look, and more on how good are you at escaping, and how good is your friend at escaping. If he can't escape, you're just going to leave him behind. Because there are no friends. And in stage purple, you have a big enough tribe to worry about friendship and start building friendships. You start building a structure where friendships are possible. And then you start looking fancy. Then you start trying to impress in a more symmetrical way. When you make a necklace, the necklace is full. So I'm sure stage beige also had the necklaces, I'm sure. But fact check this. But if they had a full necklace, it was a sign that they had activated some purple. That they already had people that they're willing to impress. And they probably also told about stories and dreams. But if they weren't talking about dreams, they're still in stage beige. But the moment they start talking about dreams, they've activated like a couple percentage of purple. So like when you see beige, they write, they make these paintings on the caves. They don't have such advanced paint. They just use what they find, and they have a. They know what stains, right? They know that raspberries stain, and they mix it with some mud to make it more paint-like or something. I don't know, but it isn't hard to figure out. It's very basic. So you don't need a tradition for that. So they paint. But what I'm saying is that it's purple activation. The creativity is stage purple. So when the stage beige starts paint drawing, it's language. Language is evolving, ways of communicating, ways of understanding. The fact that they're caring about understanding, all that is moving you from beige into purple. So like there's a big question, why do they record their stuff in the caves? I haven't found a good answer, but I think I found something in their heart awakens where they want the future to know what they've done. And so what happens is if a beige spends a long enough time in the cave, they'll start to feel a sense of security. They'll start to build cages. They'll start to build like a better shelter. Maybe they'll make the shelter look nicer. Maybe they'll put like animal rugs on the floor. But all that's a sign that they're moving into stage purple. And what people suggest is that the reason why they put these hand printings on the wall is because they want people to remember their journey. And if it's not to remember their journey, it's art. It's artistic. We want to see art in the household. So you could say art is stage beige. What I'm suggesting is that the moment you have the time to put art on the wall, that's a sign that you're moving into stage purple. Eventually, the art is going to be so filled in the cave, or so recognized as an icon or a symbol of your heritage, you're going to start valuing it. You're going to start creating mythologies. What's interesting is that I don't see mythologies about hands. I see mythologies about faces. So you could argue and say that the stage beige focuses more on stick figures because they're not interested in details, right? They're still living on survival mode, so they don't have the time to focus on details. In stage purple, you start making monkey faces and animal faces. You start making visions that you've had in detail, more detail. You know, even though it's primitive detail because you don't have artistic capacity yet, you haven't like sifted out your tribe for the best artist necessarily, but detail is also a sign. So I'm not saying that stage beige won't have art. I'm saying that the emphasis of the detail of the art will increase as you move into stage purple. That's the hypothesis. That's my understanding. And the fact that you started making art altogether is a sign that purple is being activated. And it won't take long. As long as you feel safe in your cave, you have enough weapons, you have a system to protect yourself or your family, your group, and no one is battling you as the alpha, and there's no fighting for like, you know, probably a generation or maybe even like 5 years, maybe 10 years, then you're going to start activating purple. Then the imagination comes, then mythology comes, then tribalism comes, and that will help the family grow, and eventually you'll move outside the cave and start building huts and teepees. So this is a very important topic because I don't think I've covered it very often, and it's also important because we go through stage beige whenever we are angry. So you think at stage red, I'm angry at you, so I want to remove you as a threat. So you say that stage red, right? Because you want to conquer over them. No. Stage red still believes in war. They still believe in process. Stage beige says you're a threat and I have to kill you. So the source of the anger is stage beige, and we're all falling into this to small degrees, not as much in larger degrees. Those who say that high tiers don't go through this, I kind of disagree. I think that they have tidbits that influence the characteristics of higher stages, even though they don't fall all the way down like a caveman. I have to protect myself. They will be affected by those base instincts that are, the higher you go, you won't see them, but they'll definitely have an effect on your character traits. So it's important to understand these base instincts. And I found it interesting that animals are going through this all the time. And according to this theory, animals who are artistic have the capacity for love. Like elephants, it's found a lot of mammals have capacity for love, but anyone who can learn to draw and to copy what they see, it's a sign that they're activating purple, and purple is about community and tribalism and the ability to trust. And that could be a sign for animals that they're able to develop their intelligence, which can be used by people in the future who want to see what they can do to create maybe like some kind of interconnected language between the humans and the animals. What's probably not going to happen is that birds will be included. Birds are very smart, but for some reason birds, it could be that they have too much beige, right? Because they're such a small animal. So that's why when you get parrots, what are parrots? They're bigger birds. So it could be that because they're bigger, they've developed more intelligence. So maybe do the experiment to see if size has to do with intelligence. You have to go to the squawkers, what are they called? Blue jays. And even check out cardinals who are smaller. But blue jays might, if you train them well, they might be able to draw, and that'll be like almost definitive proof that the beige, that once you surpass beige, you're entering into. But you would need to make sure the animals are not afraid of the humans. But in general, mammals are your best bet. That there's most likely a strong correlation between art and acceptance and trust and lovingness and the ability to be a part of a community and even speak language.